Hello, Algebra 1 students. So today we're going to talk about 6-4. And 6-4 gets into our third form of how to write a linear equation, and this is point-slope form. So we have two different objectives today. Our first objective is to graph and write linear equations using point-slope form. How to use this form, how to graph and write equations using this form. And our second objective is to write a linear equation using data. So what is point-slope form? Point-slope form of a line is when you use the slope m in one point, x1 and y1, to write an equation. Y minus y1 equals mx times x minus x1. I wrote the different pieces in different colors because I want you to recognize that if you are given a slope, m, and if you are given 1 point, x1 and y1, you can simply use those points to plug into point-slope form to write an equation. So if you're only given a slope and a point, you're going to use these as your starting points and you're going to put them into your equation. So our first example, today's lesson isn't going to take too long. We only have two different examples. Example 1 is graphing using point-slope form. So we're going to graph the equation y minus 5 equals 1/2 times x minus 2. And the easiest way to do this is to pull out what we know of this equation. Because this is point-slope form, we should be able to pull out a point in the equation. In this case, our starting point, x1, which if this is x minus x1, we know x is 2, and y1, which in this case is 5, because it's y minus y1, which would be 5. So that's where our starting point is going to be. So we're going to graph 2, 5. Start on our x-axis, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 5, and that's where our starting point is going to be in this graph. Next, we're going to take our slope. So we know m equals 1/2 because that's what's there in our equation. So from our starting point, we can rise 1 and go over 2 and draw another point, because remember, slope is rise over run. So this is positive, rise over run. And then I know my lines are terrible, guys, but bear with me. That would be your line for this equation. That's all you have to do. All right, our second example, writing an equation in point-slope form. So we're going to write an equation of the line with a slope of -3 that passes through the point -1, 7. Now that we know point-slope form, this is going to be pretty easy. We know our slope is of -3, or m equals -3. And we have 1 point, -1, 7, or x1, y1. So we can take y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1 and take these pieces and plug them into our equation. So we have y minus -1, or I'm sorry, I made a mistake. y1 is 7, so y minus 7 equals m, which is -3, times x minus x1, which minus 1. And we can clean that equation up a little bit. Y minus 7 equals -3. X minus -1 is the same thing as saying plus 1. And that would be your final answer. So point-slope form is very useful when you're only given limited information of 1 point and the slope. So this is useful when you're given that information. You can also use it as a starting point. If you're only given a slope and you're given a point on a line, you could take this equation and rewrite this into either standard form or into slope-intercept form. You could do either of that depending on what the question asks you. So this is a very useful form to know. If you have any questions, let me know. Please email me. Thank you.